Hello folks. As we travel wherever we go in America, seemingly we like to put an emphasis on the old, the rustic, the vintage, the historical. And we've been to already the oldest place in America, St. Augustine. But if you ever wanted to know what was that close second, well, we are here today. We continue our journey in the land of Enchantment, New Mexico, and today we have a treat because we are in not just the state capital of New Mexico, but the second oldest city in all of America. This is Santa Fe. Situated in the north central region of New Mexico at the foothills of the Sangre de Cristo Mountains. The area today known as Santa Fe was once home to many different indigenous groups. The Puebloan peoples, the Tanoan peoples. When the Spanish came in, they made this city the capital of what was Nuevo Mexico. It played witness to hundreds of years of history since its founding in 1607. By the way, if you're noticing that there's a bit of a drizzle here, yeah, I just realized, like yesterday and what's going on today, we're in the middle of New Mexico's monsoon season. Can you believe it? New Mexico gets monsoons? Yeah, I found it hard to believe. I thought it was just a big chunk of desert with a few forests sprinkled in, but it gets kind of wet sometimes, especially at the beginning of August. That cathedral to our side, that is the Cathedral Basilica of St. Francis of Assisi, and owing to the Spanish and later Mexican influence of Santa Fe, well, of course, it's no doubt that a large basilica would be at the center of this grand city. Santa Fe is not only the oldest capital city in the US, it's also the highest altitude, elevation-wise. We're about 7,000 feet above sea level. That's higher than Denver. So as you can see, this cathedral is dripping in history. All of the artwork, the grand, magnificent architecture. This church has been around since almost the beginning of Santa Fe's existence, and today now it has become synonymous with the city. This church is just intertwined with the culture of this city. You can't have Santa Fe without the Cathedral Basilica of St. Francis of Assisi. It just can't happen that way. And that's why I wanted this to be the first stop of our tour today through Santa Fe, because this gives a representation of Santa Fe's beginnings. And as we go through today, we'll be lucky enough to have that background with us as we see the sights throughout this city. After all, what does Santa Fe mean in Spanish? Well, it means holy faith. That's just how important the religious significance is to this city. One cannot and should not overlook the importance that the religious missions had on the city and the area. So with that being said, let's explore Santa Fe, New Mexico. Now you may notice this does not look like any ordinary American city. It doesn't even have the vibe of a traditional city. It's a very quirky city, and the architecture definitely reinforces that. Yeah, these buildings don't look exactly like you'd see in any other city. In fact, that's what it's meant to be. This is the Santa Fe style of architecture. It combines elements of traditional Pueblo architecture with the New Mexican Hispano architecture designs to make something uniquely New Mexican.
Hear the rear end to go round, round.
You see, it's like this building in front of us comes from not only a different place, but a different time of history. You're not going to see this in New York City. And it gets even better. You see, surrounding us with this great collection of adobe-like buildings from days gone by, from different civilizations. There lies the Santa Fe clock. We haven't seen a clock in a while. Good times. Hi. Wonderful. Which ones are turquoise? Are they all?
These are all turquoise, but they're different ones. These ones from Nevada. And these are the
okay.
Sleeping Beauty turquoise from Arizona.
I see.
And the colors are just different. Some are lighter and darker.
How much for this?
This one's it's 175.
175.
Because these ones are more expensive. These
Right.
ones are you can do 125.
How much for these on this row?
Those ones are 20, 25, 30, and 35.
I see. So the more
Yeah.
stones, more
Yeah.
expensive. Okay.
And this one's 75.
They look like bigotes.
Then this ones are 85.
This one right here?
Or this one.
I believe this one.
Okay. I'll give you a card and I'll check.
Great. If I can ask, I love learning about the cultures, the indigenous cultures. Which tribe usually lives around here or did live here in Santa Fe?
Well, these ones are like 19 levels.
Mostly Pueblo Indians.
Mostly Pueblo, okay.
Along the river and
So for almost the entirety of today, we have been walking around the main Santa Fe Plaza. And this is where all those big attractions are. The church was maybe a block behind this little square, but there's a lot of cool things to see in Santa Fe. Musicians, different artists on the streets. Obviously lots of shops and restaurants to cater to the tourist crowd. But then the hallmark of it all the attractions. If there was one you'd have to visit, it is the Palace of the Governors, a historic building now that has been turned into almost like a little marketplace of sorts. And the people running these marketplaces are these indigenous people, the original people who lived here in New Mexico. And in a tourist town like Santa Fe you can't always guarantee that the things you buy on the streets in various stores are going to be authentic. You know, it could very well be the item you buy shipped from Asia or some other country, and it wouldn't be authentic. It loses that appeal once you realize that. But at the Portal, where all those Native American traders and merchants are, well, you can be guaranteed through various licensing systems here in Santa Fe that the stuff you buy, it's gonna be authentic. I bought this turquoise necklace. Now, I'm not much of a jeweler or a jewelry enthusiast myself. I'm gonna have to gift this to somebody, probably my mother. I'm sure she likes jewelry. But just to buy something from an authentic Native American marketplace just brings out a sense of joy. One, that I can, support the culture, but two, we get to learn about the cultures too. And best of all, this turquoise necklace is guaranteed to be handcrafted, with the turquoise coming from Nevada. Not factory made in a foreign country, but there's that guarantee when you shop at the Portal. Not just the commercial buildings in the downtown which have this Santa Fe architectural style. It's even the residential buildings in the neighboring districts. Just wanted to bring it up. The once great Santa Fe River roamed through these mountain passes. And now today, this is what's left of it. A gentle stream, not even. It's kind of a sad thing to see. For such an eccentric quirky, historic city, you'd really forget that this is the state capital of New Mexico. This is where all of the state government operations are held. So I welcome you all to the, once again, if this city isn't weird enough, its Capitol building sure is weird. The state Capitol building of New Mexico is just one large cylinder. I could go all around here. It's not that usual state capitol neoclassical design with the gold or shiny dome on top. It's just a little building like this that goes around and around. I mean, you gotta give Santa Fe, New Mexico a bit of credit. Not every city gets their own little theme as far as architecture goes. And, well, it's sticking to it. It's got that classic tan Santa Fe style architecture. It's extremely funny too, because you think of a state capitol as this grand, elaborate building that deserves its own big complex. And the New Mexico state capitol does have a complex, but at the same time, there are just buildings right next to it. I'm not sure if these are residential houses or for some small businesses, but you could theoretically live within just a few feet of the state capitol. I am so curious. We need to go into this building. At first, walking through this building reminds me of the Oklahoma State Building with the little bright circular foyer. But then you walk a bit further and you get a bit of that New Mexico symbolism. The Zia sign found all over, from the state quarter to the state flag to any sign you see on the road. The Zia sign is everywhere. And it comes from Native American symbolism. The Zia sign is the sign of the sun in many cultures indigenous to this area, like the Pueblo. Now, the New Mexico state capitol is rather small when you compare it to all the other states, but it really packs a lot into this tiny body of a building. Artwork depicting the various cultures. To be honest, this doesn't feel like a state capitol building by any means. It feels more like an art museum with a few office buildings attached. It's very interesting and something you don't see with every state capitol building. Well, it's torrentially downpouring again, but you know my phrase, rain will not deter us here on the coverage project. So we are now on the outskirts, a little bit away from the plaza of Santa Fe, still in the city, but we've reached the site of a historic railroad. Santa Fe was a great place to transport goods. It was the heart of the Santa Fe Trail, which lasted for a good part of the 1800s. Once the rails arrived, it made trade even more efficient, as large trains full of cargo could be transported from various regions within the Southwest or going cross-country. And thus, after the railroads have really gone past their prime and their heyday, Santa Fe, New Mexico has done a great job of converting what could have been just a scrappy urban sprawl area into a nice little place to bask in the beauty of New Mexico's natural beauty. Now, if we didn't arrive here during the monsoon season in Santa Fe, and it was more of a, or you know, it was just sunny right now, you'd probably see a lot more people flocking, walking, strolling, rolling across this Santa Fe rail yard park. Once again, we are looking at history here in New Mexico. This is the San Miguel Mission. When the first expeditions by the Spanish came to the New World, Franciscan priests were brought along too, and their mission was to convert as much of the native population as they possibly could. So here in 1610, made by the effort of the Tlaxcalan natives here from Mexico, this mission structure was built. And surprisingly, it is still intact to this day. I'd be doing a disservice to this community if I didn't touch at least a little bit upon the arts scene here. Santa Fe, for at least I guess a century, has been a city that has attracted all these like-minded people. However, like-minded they were not when compared to the rest of society. As famed artists in the early part of the 20th century came to Santa Fe, such as Georgia O'Keeffe, the famed painter, Santa Fe was seen more and more as this artistic community where people who were of that creative mindset could flourish. And so it is here along the area, I don't know if we're on the actual road, but Canyon Road. It's known in Santa Fe as the Arts and Crafts Road. That's because you can see all these abstract designs, maybe realistic sculptures, and then maybe some weird blocky things that come out of nowhere, you know? And thus it is only fitting in this haven for the artistic-minded that we get a road rather, Canyon Road, where you can be delighted to see art gallery after art gallery lined on this road. So what does one need here after a long day walking through Santa Fe, New Mexico, dealing with the tourist crowds, and sometimes, maybe if you happen to be here in the summer, dealing with the torrential downpours? Well, I will show you. Do not call this Tex-Mex. This is New Mexico's finest cuisine. And here at the Shed in Santa Fe, you can get yourself an amazing plate of enchiladas. Notice all the colors on the plate. There's red, there's green, there's white, there's brown, there's everything. But focus on red and green, and that's because that's the main thing about these plates. They use red and green chili. Those are a big deal here in New Mexico. I mean, for goodness sake, the chilies are on the license plate of New Mexico. So of course they're a big deal. It's actually the state question. Red or green, pick a side. But you could have both. I got both. It's called Christmas style. Because of the colors, of course. My waiter here tonight, great service, suggested that I put a fried egg on these enchiladas. The yolk's dripping out, I cut it up, but as you can see, it's a savory plate of New Mexican character. With a population of about 85,000, and being New Mexico's only 4th largest city, you may think that Santa Fe, New Mexico, on paper, would be kind of insignificant. Maybe the capital city status boosts it up a little bit, but there's just no way to understand how much of a fun time one can have until they visit here, Santa Fe. Well, that's all I have to say. I'm quite happy after a delightful New Mexican meal. We're about 3 weeks into our trip, but it's only 3 weeks. We got a lot more to cover here on our Frontier Americana tour. So, until next time, sitting here at a very nice establishment, The Shed in Santa Fe, New Mexico. More travels to come. I will see you at the next location.